So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these ears onto the front of the face. So you could use a back stitch or just use a regular basting stitch. The basting stitch is really fast and you're just trying to hold the ears on there until you get the back of the head on. And you could do a more secure job sewing when you do that step. So a basting stitch is basically when you go in and out and in and out. It's the first type of stitch that children learn when they learn to sew. And I'm going to sew a little bit closer to the edge just so that the basting stitch doesn't really show up when I go to sew the back of the head on and do my good stitching. So you are going through 3 layers of fabric, so it's going to be a little bit tough to sew than, of course, through less layers. I'm going to fold these open up the seam of my face here, and I'm going to stitch that down, that little flap down, and I'm going to keep sewing the ears, just going in and out, and kind of stay close to the edge, just a little bit inboard. And just do a little running stitch. A running stitch, basting stitch, they're both the same stitch, just where you go in and out and in and out with the needle. And that is just used to hold the ears on temporarily and also to keep the stuffing in so that it doesn't come out. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just in and out. And basting is a nice way to hold everything together. If pins don't work, you might actually have to at least do like a little pre-sewing with a basting stitch. Okay. Then I'm going to tie it off. Okay. And take my pins out, and that's just, the ears are held on there temporarily. And then I'm going to sew this ear onto the front of the face with a basting stitch also, just going from the back, pulling the thread out, putting it in again, out, and slowly go from right to left. So I'm going to start here on the edge of the ear. Always sew starting from the back to the front. And I'm just going to go back in. And then go and just make sure that you sew through all 3 layers, both pieces of fabric for the ears, front and back, and the front of the face. So I'm not sewing like a full 1/4 of an inch. Maybe I'm doing something a little bit less deep, maybe 1/16 of an inch, because I don't want my basting stitches to show. But since it's in the matching color thread, it's not really that big a deal if it does. But if you are neat, just a very neat and careful person by nature, and you sew neatly, that's definitely going to be helpful, and you'll be able to sew pieces that look very clean and professional. So that ear is sewn on. Okay. So the next piece we're going to sew is the back of the head, and we are going to sew the side. It's the back head center, or they call it center back seam of the head back. So we are going to sew the side that has the 3 triangles. So pin the 2 edges together, and then I'm going to sew just that seam. Make sure the triangles are on top of one another when you pin the pieces together. Make sure that the one end and then the other are also pinned, and then put some pins in between the 2 ends. Okay, so before, toys were a luxury, and they were just usually not very sophisticated, but they were made by families for their children by hand, by whatever materials or scraps they had laying around.
This is Pinker Bear skin.
Okay. Okay.
But it's very warm.
Okay, I just finished sewing the center back of the head. So when I open it up, the head looks like this. So you have to make sure that you sew the pieces together, the two edges together that have the 3 triangles, because this piece is not a symmetrical piece. You could tell by the bottom curve. And it creates kind of a nice round back for the head. So while this is turned inside out like this, I'm going to take the face of the bear and turn the ears in and kind of turn this inside out. It looks a little weird on that side when it's inside out. And I'm going to have all the good stuff, all the good side on the inside, and then I'm going to lay the wrong good sides against each other so that good sides are facing each other, and then line up the back of the head center seam with that little mark in the middle of the forehead that I drew right over here. So line up that seam with that, open up the seam so it's nice and flat, open it up like that, and pin it, pin starting from the center, and then work your way down, or actually pin the end right there for the neck opening. Okay, so pin one end, pin where the 2 triangles come together, so lay the triangles one on top of the other. You could put a pin right there, and then you could put some pins in between. Okay. Where the ears are, it's going to get very, very bulky. So it will be a little bit tough because you're sewing through 4 layers of fabric, and you're going to also be sewing through some stuffing, polyester stuffing or fill. It's called polyfill, polyester fill. So it will be hard to do the back stitch there. So you may have to kind of pull the needle totally out, but still do the back stitch. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, line the end to end. You leave the neck hole open because you're going to stuff the head through that neck hole opening, so you don't want to close it up. This fabric is a little bit slippery, and there is that nap from this fabric. The thickness of the fur, if you have a furry kind of fabric, that's called the nap. Sometimes kind of makes things a little bit difficult when you're sewing. Same word as like to take a nap, but it's talking about actually the thickness of the furriness of the fabric. Okay. Just concern yourself with pinning it edge to edge, lining up the edges. So now you should have something that looks like this with pins going all the way around. Okay. And pins going around. Okay. Pins all the way around the outside edge. And then you're going to do a back stitch and sew from one side all the way around to the other, leaving the neck hole open. Okay, you don't want to close that up. So after you sew that, you're going to turn the head right side out and see how cute it is. And you will not stuff the head. That will all happen at the very end. Okay, I'm done sewing all around the head. So what I did was I sewed the back of the head to the front of the head. And so I sewed all the way around in this like in a circle. So I'm going to go through the neck hole now, and I'm going to turn the face right side out so you can see. And the ears are going to pop right up, and there they are. They pop right up. And I'm going to push the snout or the little nose hole out, and that's what the bear's head is going to look like right here when it's all sewn. And you should see no stitching. All your seams are in the middle and all aligned, so that it looks like just kind of like the skin of a bear. So just the front of the face, and the ears are popping up, and you can stuff this. And when you stuff this, you can see how the face looks if you want to temporarily put a little stuffing in there, get a sense of how three-dimensional it is. And you're going to pack the stuffing pretty tight in there, and actually overstuff slightly, so that the cotton doesn't get compressed very, too soon, and then the bear will look all wrinkly. So that is the end of the teddy bear head part, and the next video will be about constructing the body, the chest and the back of the bear. Then we're going to go on to attaching the arms, sewing the arms, attaching the arms, and then sewing the legs and adding the soles of the feet, and then adding the legs to the body of the bear. Or actually the arms are after adding the legs. And then afterwards we'll stuff the bear and sew up the open holes, and that's where we'll end the teddy bear project. And also there'll be a little section on how to decorate your bear with ribbon and silk flowers and lace and such. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to continue with the teddy bear body in the next video segment.